Blessings unto each of you. I bring greetings of peace, love, and blessings. This is Queen Mother of the Kingdom of Heaven. I come to you to answer a few questions that was placed before me, and I would like to answer them before I leave for vacation with my family. If I may explain to you concerning the DNAs that was asked, I would like to answer that first-handedly. First, I would like to say that the DNA testing is something that is done and it begins as a work to help the leaders. We are not here to become the leader of another peoples. I have more peoples to lead than I know what to do with. In other words, my hands are very full. So I'm not trying to go and collect more peoples. That is not my job nor my place. I would like to say that we work for leaders and we work with leaders. The DNA process is a very complicated process. So many leaders come to us and they ask us to do the DNA testing because they are the leader of a particular peoples. Some of these leaders are pastors, some of them are bishops, some of them are elders, some of them are tribal leaders. Many of the First Nations peoples in the Native American peoples work very closely with us because they want to know who they are and how it all begun. So keep in mind, as we briefly go through the DNA process with you today, briefly, keep in mind that we are not doing the DNA testing so we can get people, so we can lead. We are doing this for the leaders. Many people get their paperwork and take it back to their leaders. And the leaders have sent many emails and letters to us in the appreciation for what we are doing. It is a very expensive process. And a lot of leaders would like to know the peoples that they're leading, where they come from, and to whom they are. And let me say most of all, whatever faith or religion that you choose to pick in your life or that you've chosen has nothing to do with the fact that once you find out who you are, then you have every right to leave. That is not what we're doing. Okay? So with that being said, I would like to briefly go over the DNA process, what it is, and exactly what it's going to do. The thing that is important to know is that we receive a lot of inboxes and a lot of questions is asked and set before us. Only the questions that is important is what they give to me. And some of them I have had to say, I don't want to be the judge to say what is important to another person and what is not. Something may be not important to me, but very urgently important to another person. So when the person come in, they come in on a piece of paper that looks like this. They are printed out through a computer and they come on the paper like this. Each one of those questions are answered respectfully with respect to your needs, and we try to not look over anyone. Everyone is important. Even though we may not be your leader, you are yet important to us. And most certainly, the people that I must lead are very highly important to me. This right here that you are looking at, this is over 82 customs that came my way on cards that look like this. We do not reveal the privacy, the name of the person that asked them. That is why I have this turned the other way, so you don't see other people's information. But we wanted you to know how the custom come and how many come. This is 82 questions I hold in my hand on these small cards of paper. And this came in for the week. So having 82 questions for the week, sometimes on different subjects, sometimes on the same subject. But nevertheless, to have that many to come in, therefore you have to answer them speedily as possible and move from question to question. So with that being said, that if it's something that I miss, please feel free to inbox again and say, Queen Mother, you did not answer that, or I did not understand it. I was 14 years old before I could speak a bit of English. And I noticed that most of the people that write in with questions, they are English speaking. And I do apologize for that. But my English is not, maybe not as well as some of you are. You know, I was a young woman, a young lady, before I could speak English. And I'm still a little, I still have difficulty with it. But we're going to move along and do the best. So now that I've shown you the process and giving you a particular idea of how many we receive in the maybe 4 or 5 day period time, maybe that gives you a better understanding why some of the questions are a little behind. With that being said, we're going to move along with the process of getting each thing answered for you. Concerning the DNA database, the first thing we would like to share with you is that the DNA database, when it comes on a paper that looks just like this. This is how that paper looks. And the reason it looks this way is because we don't want to reveal people's personal information, so we cover the top part of. But the top of this is the Schreiber that you may or may not be a part of. The bottom is going to be your DNA. We're going to, they scientifically, in the laboratory, they scientifically match you with one of these tribes. This would be you. They don't just draw little blood. They're going to take enough blood to run many samples, okay? Because we're matching it up against different tribes. Some of these tribes are from Germany, some are from Africana, and some are even from Asia. Some are even from Australia and Canada. They come from, these samples are from different areas of the world. So it's going to be a sliding scale that once that blood is taken from you, whatever that blood would match is exactly what you would be considered as scientifically matched to that people's. Now, with that being said, with the DNA, I want to say that I want you to look at this package. You're not holding it in your hand. This is pretty heavy. This is the backlog of the DNA database. We cannot reveal the names for privacy's sake, but this is 50,000 pieces of paper. Each one of these are people that have already been accepted. They have already gone through the process, already gone through the program. This is 50,000 people. And this is the envelope that holds our backlog. So this envelope that you see, as thick as it may be now, it was 75,000 more in here. So we have tapped away at it to get the DNA cut down to size, to get all of the patients and clients and peoples and scribers that is waiting for the DNA. This piece of envelope that you see had 70,000 more in it last week than what it has now. That is to let you know the progress that we have made at cutting down on the DNA peoples that are waiting to be tested. Now, when you get your DNA papers, it's going to come in an envelope that looks just exactly like this. It won't be the same envelope, of course, but it's going to look like this. And just to give you an example of how much information is going to be on it, we don't just give you a piece of paper and say your DNA matches so and so. We don't just do it that way. The doctors and the scientists have it so scientifically done and perfect almost until they give it to you, and the mass amount of information that is given out to you is going to be a full and complete DNA profile of yourself. It's going to be about half as thick as what you see. This is pretty thick because the papers in it is pretty thin. So it's holding 50,000 pieces of paper. Of course, you're not going to have 50,000 pieces of paper, but it's going to be about half as thick as this paper right here. And half as thick as this envelope. And inside of it, it's going to have a complete profile of you, of your body fluid, of your blood, of your platinum, of whom you are, and the peoples that you come from. Now, once you get that profile, it is up to you what you do with it. We do not give people DNA testing so we can lead them, but we give them DNA testing so they can take it back to their own leaders. This is not a religious organization. This is not based upon faith, trying to change someone. We don't care what faith you are. We get people from the Catholic Church. We get people from the Christian organizations. We get people from Buddhism. We get people all the way that worship the sun and the moon. That is fine with us. Whoever whom you worship, we don't get off into changing people's minds about their faith or their religion. That is fine. But you can take this DNA profile to your leader, and at that time, you know, you and your leader or yourself or however you want to do with it can choose to whom you would want to be um, partaker of that information in that paper. So to let you know, this is the way your envelope will look, and this is indeed our backlog. And we do apologize for having a backlog this big, but this is a lot of people's to care for and to take care of. DNA process, it is not a short process. Some people come to get the process done, and they have to take the process uh, 10 times. We had a young lady from Africa. She took it 10 times before it was successful. Why is that? That is because she's not matched to a particular Schreiber that she thought she was. I can explain that very briefly to you. We get people to come in all the time and they say things like, well, you know, I'm from America, you know, and my grandmother lived there. My grandmother was born in Mississippi, and my uncle was in New York, and someone else was, my mother was born in California, and my father was in Minnesota. So they automatically assume that their blood test is going to come back and say one thing. Many people come in that is already convinced that they know exactly who they are. So when that happens, they always tell us what tribe or what peoples that they come from, or they say that our peoples came over on the boat. Then they do the DNA test and they match it up against a tribe that they know that they come from. They don't get a hit. So these peoples are put through counseling to help them to deal with the fact of the revelation that they have just received, that they're not necessarily who they say they was. Many people go through their lives and live to get 50 to 60 or 70, even 80 or 90 years old, and really don't know who they are. There was a lot of misplacing during the African slave trade. And that is so difficult to get people to understand that. Many people have called people their mothers that was not really their mother. Many people have said, this is my grandmother. That's not their grandmother. You know, I had family that lives in Trinidad, North Africa, Germany, and I have family also in American. And I always say, I know who I am because I did the testing early on. So that helped me to define myself and not just go on paperwork. I will say this again. Paperwork do not prove who you are. I don't know how many people that came in with birth certificate and all kinds of. I've seen people with stacks of papers this thick come into the doctor office to be tested, and they say that all the paperwork that they have prove who they are. But once they roll up their sleeves and do a DNA test, the blood said something totally different than what the paper has told them for 50 years. So that is why some people are tested again. They are retests. The young lady that was tested 10 times, that is not the average. That was a different case. She was a young lady that was hurt, and she had to do a lot of family digging to find out who she really was. We stood with her during that process, and the family members that was remaining in her life, finally cracked and admitted that there was things done, and she was told people was her family, her mother and her father. That was not. But she's with her real family at this time, and she knows who she is. So don't think that you're gonna have to do it 10 times because she did, because that is indeed not the norm. Okay. And the other thing that I would like to say is if you inbox me, and I want you to keep in mind that I don't get the messages always. It goes through a system, my board looks at it, and sometimes they judge if a person needs to be answered right away or not, or it could wait. What was actually the DNA? They felt, you could answer this right now. But there's one more question that was put before me. I would like to answer it at this time, if I may, please. And that was the being able to help you with your clothing, necessary in school supply. I'm going to say this. I am coming to you from the warehouse. This is our storage in our warehouse that I'm in. In my warehouse, I have an office attached to it. I have many offices across the world. I have about 5 offices set up in different countries. But this is not necessarily what I call one of my offices. This is my warehouse. Inside of the warehouse, I have my office section to the side. We have such an overload of clothing, school supplies, books, and all kind of educational program. We have such an overload. Our warehouse is over 14,000 square feet. With a warehouse of 14,000 square feet, it is packed from bottom to top. And it stays that way. No matter how much we get rid of, we seem to just get rid of it, and it comes in faster than we can put it out. So therefore, even in my office, in my warehouse, we have tons of clothing and donations. Those items are shipped down once per week. The school supplies are shipped out bi-weekly. The other supplies, the household supplies, are shipped out monthly. Now, the reason we do it that way is because if we didn't have a system to do it that way, it would be utterly complete madness to have 14,000 square feet that is so packed from top to bottom. You could not maintain a sense of sanity, if you did not do it in that system and in that way. So we have so many mats of things that is piled up. Even the office in my warehouse is full, trying to hold everything that we have. These items that we have are brand new. We do not ship used items. Someone wanted to know about the warehouse, and how do we ship and when do we ship. I hope I've explained to that. Some of those are shipped once a month, and some of those are not. So to explain it to you, I hope I went into depth with you, good enough for you to be capable of understanding it. That we are packed and we do it once a week, bi-weekly, and then once a month if it is school supply. So I hope that I've answered that to you. And don't worry, those of you that is waiting upon these books and the school supplies and the other items, you will get them because, like I said, we are overstocked and we are overwhelmed. We are making ready to open up a warehouse in Pakistan. So that is going to keep us busy for a while, at least until the baby gets here. We will be busy making sure that that is open to the respect children peoples. I do thank each and every one of you. I hope I've answered your questions. If I have not answered each question in a timely fashion, I would like to say to you that we will get that done. The next time you send the questions, whatever we have not answered, we will do so at the time. I do thank you. This is Queen Mother of the Hudson Kingdom, and I bring love and blessings and peace unto each of you. Thank you, Salam.